Now then, people, good evening and welcome back to the Just Joe football show. It's time for another edition of The Final Word. There is just three of us at the minute, but we will be joined shortly by a number of people. Evie will be joining us around about 1:15, I think she said, and Luke will join us once Or No Better has finished. I hope you are all doing well. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. Get your comments in, hit the notification bell and all that jazz. Obviously, with me right now, I have Joe from Leeds United The View and Matty from Imagine Not Being Leeds. I've done so much talking on this fixture. I was annoyed earlier on. I was this. So I'm just going to pass it straight over, ideally. So, Joe, you're nodding and grinning and laughing. So I'm gonna come over to you, mate.
You did get a bit annoyed a couple of times, didn't you?
Man,
Earlier on,
so
for a little bit.
Man. Do you know what, though? I can't lie to you. I'd just woken up from a nap.
Oh, you were cranky.
So maybe that's what it was, man. I was pissed, though, but also that probably aided it. I left and I thought, yeah, maybe. Yeah.
You slept too long. Yeah. I did get it, a little bit of it. I don't want to... It just seems like this year where everything is going to be extremes. It's going to be, it's brilliant, we're cakewalking it, or it's terrible, sack the manager. I think the problem with the championship is there's lots of bits in the middle of that, and we're going to draw games this season, and we're going to lose games this season. We're not going to run and go the entire league and win every single game. We're probably going to lose 6 or 7 games. We're probably going to draw 6 or 7 more, so these will happen. And sometimes in a game of football, it's not about you, it's about the opposition. I thought Norwich yesterday were very well set up and very well organized. So you've got to try and get past that. They had a go at us. We had a go at them. And I think the game was a little bit scrappy because you had two teams genuinely trying to have a go at each other, which we haven't seen, in a good while since we've actually seen a team have a proper crack at us. So I actually enjoyed, I did see you said that you hate it. You'd rather have the two lads in the middle of the park sitting and just controlling the game. I liked the bit of tempo in the middle of the park. I liked this. I know it was scrappy at times, but it was a little bit of defensive assuredness.
It was very transitional, though. It was very basketball-y, Jern. I didn't like that.
Oh, it was. Yeah, but I think that was the nature of the game as well. They were kind of trying to sit and break, and then we decided we were also going to try and sit and break, and it turned into that. But I think a lot of it was how they played as well. I thought we were fine. I didn't have a huge problem with how we played. I thought we had a go at them. I thought we created some chances. Nothing clear-cut, really, outside of the goal. Maybe Bogle should do better for the one that Nonto sets back to him. Maybe he should do better with that. But I thought we were fine. I thought the tempo was better. I thought we moved the ball quicker. I thought we were trying to get things into advanced areas faster. Wasn't always happening. But it wasn't the Burnley type performance. It wasn't slow. It wasn't mundane. It wasn't pedestrian. It was all the right things that Leeds were trying to do. So sometimes you just come away from the game and you go, yeah, probably a point of fair result for both sides. Both teams had a go. Okay, dust it off, move on to the next fixture and see if we can get 3 points against Sunderland. And if we can't, it's still 4 points, 3 points off top.
Yeah. Is it a good point for you, Joe?
I think it could end up being a very good point on the road. I liked how they set themselves up. That's a manager that's not afraid. I mean, he said in his press conference, "We're going to have a go and we're going to take chances," and he did exactly that, and that's brave. And I like that guy. I like that in a coach. I think they'll like him down there. So yeah, I think it might end up being a decent point on the road. What's the saying? Win your home games, don't lose away. So take the points on the road. Point there, get 3 points at home against them, 4 points between 2 fixtures. That's fantastic. Do that against every team this year, you're up. So yeah, look, lots of the injury stuff is a problem, but I think we get to see a different dynamic. I did hear your comment earlier on about everyone wanted to see this, and I was driving my car when I was listening to it, and I was like, no, they didn't. No. Nobody said both of them in there. Everyone said one of them in there with them. So perfect.
I do want to qualify this. Well, Tanaka's the 6, though. Tanaka's playing as that 6. So that's what I meant. Like, I didn't so much mean them two individuals.
I think we would rather have an established 6 in the team with Tanaka or Rothwell beside him, who the less established, but to have 2 not established centre midfielders who are both not super defensive. Tanaka can do it fine and will do it fine. They did a good job yesterday. They'll get better together. But there was moments where it was great to see 2 midfielders covering a huge amount of ground, trying to get on the ball and trying to go forward every single time, which was really nice to see that as well. And you hope that gets better over time. But look, it's a draw, it's a point. Great that we got back into it, and we'll take it and we move on to Friday. See how we go.
No, exactly. Bang on the money. Matty, how did you see it, mate? What was your main takeaways?
Similar to you, to be fair, mate. I'm really proud of boys for. I mean, that first half referee was shocking, which I'm sure we'll touch on, and the way Norwich tried to kick us about the pitch. I think they really stood up, and in past we've had Nonto and Aronson, players like that who stay down and moan a little bit. I feel like they just got up and got on with it, and they really that first half, I think, really showed that mental toughness we've got. It really our place to go. They're on a really good run at Norwich. We're never going to be an easy place to go, and the way that first half panned out, even though it went down 1-0 at half time, I think the way the game went, everything seems to be against us at the minute. With the injuries, the way that game went up till us getting a goal on the hour, I feel like a lot of teams could have folded and maybe conceded a second, but I think it showed a lot of that mental toughness that we didn't know they had, and they've been yet to show us, and I was really proud of that, really, mate. They have games where everything goes for you and you can score 3 or 4 like we have done in past, and I really like that. I'm watching that and we're 1-0 down. I'm thinking, how are we going to get back into this game? We shouldn't even be losing, but it had all the ingredients for a game that you don't get a goal in and you lose 1-0 and you come away thinking, how have we done that? And the fact that we've dug in there and got a goal back, and if it wasn't for the subs, we'll never know. But I think we might have nicked a win. But I'm really happy with that point. And if we go to Sunderland and do something similar, I'll be ecstatic for that, mate. So yeah, I will pleased, Joe, to be fair.
Good man. Thank you for that. Evie, are you good? Can you talk?
Yeah.
You can. Thank you for that, Matt. You hit a load of nails. There's bits that I've listened to from all ears, and I'm going to fire some questions back. But Evie, how did you see it? Good point or 2 points dropped?
Really good point. I think that they're going to be in and around the playoffs, and in all fairness, Leicester, Ipswich dropped all of their points to us and still ran away with the league. So with 3 points off top, Norwich are a different team when it comes to being at home, obviously unbeaten since Blackburn last November, I think it was. And it's a tough place to go. It's always going to have a bit more of a personal bite, obviously, as well, with it being Farke. Yeah. So we had the quality of our bench was not at its best yesterday, and it showed. So the fact that we could still hold on after going a goal down to a correct penalty decision, but don't you just wish that sometimes we would get those soft penalties? Like, I do think it would have been soft, the Nonto one yesterday, but I think we deserve a soft goal at time. Like, I really do, because it's part of the luck situation, and you have to have a bit of lady luck sometimes come into it. And I think if we didn't have Sunderland on Friday, we win that game guaranteed, in my opinion, because he doesn't make those subs, because he doesn't have to. Whereas Farke's in a really difficult place, in my opinion. He's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't, because he's got to keep some form of a squad fit for Friday, because we also don't know how long these injuries are going to last. So we don't know if Dan James is going to be back after the international break. We don't know if Solomon's going to be back after the international. We know Ampadu's not going to be back. So we've already got a captain down, and an active captain. It's not like Cooper last year where he wasn't an active captain. I just think it's a point. We've got 114 points up for grabs still. We could still break the record. Like, I don't understand where the absolute uproar is, if I'm being quite honest. I think it's a good point, a tough point, and they were probably the best opposition. And had we have had our full squad available, that's a completely different game. But you can only play with the team that you've got and the teams that are in front of you, and we got the point. I'm more than happy with that point yesterday.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think as well, the important thing to know is as well, like if we have, James and Solomon, it just massively improves it, doesn't it, as well, because you can then change the wingers, and give the 60 minutes to Ramazani that he mentioned, and then you've got 30 minutes at Solomon or whatever. But unfortunately, we just don't have the options there at the minute. It's like when it rains, it pours, right? We've been hit by all these, injuries all at the same time and at the wrong time, really. I mean, it's sod's law that Ampadu goes out and then Gruev follows him out. Obviously, we had the presser today. No news on it yet. Probably find out, he said, tomorrow evening, but we'll probably find out Friday evening, won't we, after the game? It'll probably be one of the first questions that gets pushed to Farker. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it won't be as bad as Ampadu's, I hope, because we need him. We do need him, but Joe, you touched on the midfield pairing. What did you make to it then? Because I thought, especially in the first half, it took a while. Which is to be expected. They seemed to be quite far apart. There was a bit of holes in there for me, but then in the second half, it did improve. Do you have enough confidence in that pairing moving forward for the short term?
Yeah, I do. I think they're two players that would have backed themselves at points when they came in to get into this team at some point. I think Joe Rothwell wouldn't have come to assume he's going to sit on the bench all year. He'll have known he'll get an opportunity to start some games. And Tanaka will be coming in to make a name for himself and hopefully be a Japanese international playing Premier League football soon. So no issue with the standard of both players. I thought they worked hard. The amount of work they got through, the amount of running they got through in the middle of the park was great to see from both of them. I think they're very positive when they get the ball, trying to go forward. Rothwell as well. He's unlucky with the one shot that he has, is probably a little bit too straight. But there's a moment there in that shot from Rothwell where you can see what you could now get from that midfield too that you don't get without them. And that's, a ball break into space and someone just coming running onto it with the sole intention of putting their laces through the ball, So there's bits there. It will take time to form a proper partnership, but I think they can do it. And Tanaka can do the 6. It's not ideal by any shape of the imagination, but it is what it is. And we've got two decent players who have a good level. Rothwell knows this league, knows it very, very well. He's been promoted from it a couple of times. And Tanaka's a top quality player at this level, was in the Bundesliga and Bundesliga 2, has been for Japan. So they should be a good enough profile of player to come in. Charlie Crew, before we brought Tanaka before we brought Tanaka, we were talking about Crew probably playing a couple of minutes this year anyway. So he now gets that chance again, probably get a couple of minutes off the bench here and there. And we're okay, but we just can't afford any more minutes. You can always push Stroke in there as well to a 6 role if you need to, but you need more centre-backs to do that. So we're probably one floating player between the two positions, light, and that happens to be Ampadu probably. But you'd manage. If it was an Ampadu that was injured, probably manage better. But I think it's fine. I think they'll be okay.
Yeah. Has anyone else got any thoughts on the midfield pair? And I'm waiting to see what Friday brings before I say this will work, because it did look a little bit disjointed at times for me personally.
I think for
we've got
third.
Sorry, you go, Matt.
I think for a third and fourth choice centre midfield pairing, I think
it's brilliant.
Very fortunate that them two, we've got them two. But I just wanted to know, Joe, if you'd sort of change your tune on Rothwell after yesterday. I know he didn't have a perfect game, but did you see anything in his game that made you feel a little bit different to how you've been feeling about him, if you're honest?
I guess I liked what Joe mentioned, because I thought Joe was going to relay just to him having a shot. I was just about to go, well, hang on a minute, Gruev has shots. But the point he made about the ball dropping and Rothwell running onto it, I do agree with that point. That box crashing 8, which is what I said before. There was that. But again, I don't know. It looked to me maybe not as fit, but then again, you could put that down to ring rustness, not playing games. So, there's still time. And when I say Rothwell shy, it's not. I know he's not shy. Do you know what I mean? It's more a case of getting.
It's a Joeism.
It's a Joeism. Yeah.
What I would love, Joe, is if you started saying that you could play better than him, because then you just know that Rothwell will become a world beater like Mr. Kirk.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But,
I tell you one thing I'm better than a player on our pitch at. Saving fecking penalties, because all I had to do was stand there. I've rewatched the tapes, and he does not shift his body weight or anything. He literally doesn't. He stands there stationary and then dives over the ball. So I know it's not his fault the penalty's been given and all that sort of stuff, but I'd have just moved over to the side and just gone,
There's a lot of 1%ers we don't really get, I think, like when it comes down to like corners or your goalkeeper making a save from a penalty. I know it's like you say, you can't really pinpoint anything at a goalkeeper for not saving a penalty, but there's loads of little areas of games where these 1% can, be crucial in big games or come end of the season. And I just feel like we're lacking a few of these areas that soon add up, don't they? So, yeah.
I think some of the stuff being said by Meslier again is a bit over the top. I mean, Paul's calling him embarrassing there, and I think that's extreme. It's a penalty. He's 12 yards out. Yeah. He knows exactly where he's putting the ball. Meslier hasn't got a clue, and Meslier has to guess in an instant. He also has Mateo Joseph sprinting across the pitch to yap in his ear and start talking to him before the penalty's been taken, because someone's told him on the bench that Kenny McLean has the ball in his hand and are trying to tell him where McLean puts the penalties. And then he throws the ball to Sargent and they score. But all he does is go back on his heels. Goalkeepers are not expected to save penalties. They're not. They're just not. They shouldn't. If you're a striker and the keeper saves it and your response is, oh, well, the keeper's done a very good save. Don't care. You score, you're 12 yards out. It's a free hit. You should score every single time. And all the people that are calling him embarrassing will say things about him for a penalty are the same lads that'll be down the park with their kids on Sunday falling over a penalty into the bottom corner because they can't get across the park. So, it's a bit much. It's a penalty. The issues with the giving away of the penalty, Rodon should stand up. He should be mature. He should be this big feckin' senior player in that moment to go. He's going nowhere. Bar the end line. Stand up. Be calm. Control it. And he doesn't. He dives in and gives away the penalty. That's the mistake. But no one's talking about Joe Rodon making a mistake.
Oh, we did. No, he did. Yeah. No. Well, I thought it was good centre forward play and did have my thought.
Oh, it was, but they'll all do that. And a centre back should be good enough to spot that.
Yeah, he shouldn't have stood it. Yeah, he shouldn't have dove in. I do think, though, look, I hear what... Of course, the advantage is always with the striker, etc. I said this at the time, but for me, he's got to do better. He's got to do better. At least connect with the ball. For me, it was poor. I think it's poor. But again, I hear what you're saying. There's errors before it with Ramazani and Firpo. There's an error from Rodon. And yeah, it's the last line. But I'd like him
told him, don't move. Don't move. The lads are saying Kenny's taking it. Stand still. Don't move. So at that point, he's gone, right, I'm standing still. And at that point, you've set yourself. Your feet are set. You're in the goal. You're ready to go. You're not moving anywhere else now. That's it. The decision is made. So the second that goes left or right of you, you're done. You're done because he's 12 yards away from you.
No, but I don't. No, but I don't know. What's this Kenny McLean stuff? I don't know what you mean.
He was told by Mateo Joseph when Kenny McLean had the ball. Joseph was called over to the sideline.
Yeah.
By the Leeds bench. They said something to him. He sprinted back across the park and was talking to Meslier, telling Meslier and pointing at the goal. So someone's told him to tell Meslier something. And then Meslier has stayed exactly dead straight in the middle of the goal.
Well, that's where Sargent put it.
He put it to the left of him. Because if it's dead straight, and Sean said, if it's dead straight, it bounces off his feet. So it wasn't dead straight either. So
sure. It was like
enough, Joe. That's all it has to be. Most goals are that much away from a goalkeeper. It doesesn't have to be. It's 12 yards out.
Fair enough. Yeah. Listen.
That's what's embarrassing, is giving a striker a stick a goalkeeper stick for not saving a penalty. That's what's embarrassing. That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Crazy call.
Yeah, I think, embarrassing might be a bit too much, but for me, he's got to do better. But hey ho, we move on. I'm happy to be wrong on this, if indeed I am wrong, although I don't think I am. Have you two got a thought on the penalty situation?
It would just be nice to not have the penalties keep going up and the saves staying the exact same. And even the save that he made didn't end up as a save because the goal went in. Like that West Ham goal went in. From those years ago. So I never think of him saving any because I knew the fact that the ball still ends up in the back of the net. I wish he'd committed it, because at least if it's a poor pen or it is fairly down the middle, the likelihood is your legs would kick it. So some part of your body might get the ball, but when you're frozen still, it doesn't. You give yourself very little movement. Now, I've never played. Well, I did when I was about 9, play in goal, but I haven't played in goal for a long time. And I don't know.
Would you have saved it, Evie, like me? You'd have saved it like me, right? Just like moved.
Well, it was low enough that I could have saved it. If it had been any higher, then I probably wouldn't have. But yeah, I'm not going to judge him. And I think the advantage is always with the striker when it comes to penalties. It's more difficult to miss than it is to save. If that, I don't know whether that way makes sense. It's far harder for a goalkeeper to save it than it is for a striker to miss. So if it was the other way around, it's good. There's very little that you can do because there's one of you and there's the entire length, width, diameter of the goal to aim for, and then you've got all of the potential runners coming up behind. So it's one of his weaknesses, but unfortunately it's not the only one. So I'm not going to hammer him for that particular weakness. I think there's other areas of his game I'd rather improve on than penalties. So that's fine. Yeah.
BMG, obviously you're back in belly here, that's fine, but please know this isn't like we're not bashing, we're just talking specifically about that pen, and we're having a debate specifically about that pen. No one's saying then that he had a poor game after that, because you're right, he did make a good save. We're not like coming from Melly here as such, like saying get him out, he's poor. We're not doing that. We're just talking about the pen and having a conversation about the pen. Oh, well.
Some are using it.
As what, say, like, right, well, they shouldn't be.
Another stick to hit the keeper with.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, that's fair. Just like, with the manager stuff and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. It is what it is. Yeah, no, I get it. It's crazy, man, for me, just how a point has made everyone like turning on themselves again. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit mad. But we move on, don't we? He didn't save the penalty. We go and score a goal. Let's talk about that goal, because I think the stroke from the passing to Nonto, the turn from Nonto, and then the passing to Ramazani, and I thought it was a great finish by Ramazani, and he's really showing up, isn't he? Great.
Yeah, 3 goal contributions in his first 3 starts. You can't really ask for anything more than that. And even he's clearly not fully match fit, as Fark has kind of hinted at as well. So the fact that he's not only coming on starting, he's making his minutes count. So you literally can't say anything wrong about him. He's kind of doing the longer version of Pirro, in a sense of Pirro comes on for a few minutes and usually gets a goal, whereas Ramazani is contributing. His press is brilliant as well. He was, I thought he was quite creative, but he clearly can't handle the full game yet, which I think that's what I was referring to when it comes to Farker and his subs. He's stuck between a rock and a hard place, because he's got to have the fitness of his players, especially when you've got players like Rodri coming out and saying the game load is too much, and then the Championship is far more intense than most other teams outside in the Premier League will face, just simply at the league level with the amount of games that we've got. I think that he's done brilliantly, and I'm really excited if he can keep up that kind of form and we can keep him fit, and keep him fit long enough to have the support to, like your Solomon and your Dan James to come back, which I think that's where Fark is really having to balance things incredibly carefully, because he could just throw him in and keep him on for 90 minutes, but then he strains something from playing too much, and then he can't play on Friday, and there's no guarantee that we do win that game, because Ramazani's shattered by that point and Nonto's on a yellow card and all of these things. So yeah, Ramazani is more than capable of filling Somerville's shoes by his first 3 games, if that's anything to go by.
I think it's safe to say that Nonto's got a new best friend, and you can tell while they're playing on and off the pitch. You can see he's definitely lifted Willie Nonto's performance. I think having Ramazani there, and a bit of a controversial point maybe for some, but I'd like to just say, you spoke a lot about not being able to replace Somerville with one player, it had to be spread across the team, which I understand. And I would say the goals and the assists are coming from more players this season, as you can see. But I do think there's enough when you until the end of the season, when you can look at the numbers and you've got that bigger sample size, you can't really call it now. But I think Ramazani, man for man, has all the attributes to replace Somerville on his own. I think if he goes and gets another assist or a goal on Friday, that starts to look less ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? I think when you look at the way he plays, low centre of gravity, he's super fit for the length of time he's played. We haven't seen him stretch it to a 90-minute performance yet. And I know that was a problem at his last club. So he has to play 90 minutes because Somerville were always fit, to be fair. He were always there for you. But I think stylistically he's very similar. And he's got a lot of areas to his game that are just going to improve us. And I think Solomon's going to have a tough ask getting back in that side, if I'm honest. So I don't know what you think of that. I don't know if that's a ridiculous claim to make or it might be a little bit early, but I think
Early, I think.
Oh, very early. Yeah, very early.
But he looks a top player. Like, he looks a top player.
He really does.
I mean, you mentioned Solomon there. I mean, oh God. I mean, he's injured again and he's gone from his back to his knee.
We knew this though when we got him, didn't we, Joe? We knew this.
No, but I sort of like I was like unwilling to discuss that point because of how good the player was. But it's now like
that's why we got him.
Yeah, well, that's true as well, mate. If he's not injured,
still got 39 games left, so he could still have a massive part to play in the side this year. I mean, the injuries he's picking up.
He better not go away on international duty, John.
Oh no, he can't. There's no way he can.
I'll be so
he got injured, but he came back injured from international duty and hasn't played since he came back. So, one game. But it's like the injuries for Solomon don't worry me too much because they sound like they're load-bearing injuries. Like that's a guy getting back up to speed after a year of not playing football, and you get those kind of injuries. That's what they sound like. And they're usually a couple of weeks and then you're fine then. So hopefully that's all that they are. But it's a hell of a prospect. And I think the changes yesterday would be very different looking if Dan James and Solomon were fit. And I think how that game finishes looks very different as well. Big problem for me was Farkas still tries to go and win the game, brings on two strikers. But we lost all of our pace in that moment as well because the two lads, in fairness to them, are not the quickest anymore. Paddy's lost a couple of yards at this stage, but the game has to change and it doesn't. But if you're in a normal situation with everyone fit, you've got James and Solomon coming on for that last 10 minutes. That's terrifying, especially with the amount of space there was. So just get those lads back as quick as we can and get past the next international break. But the international games are causing a massive impact on this as well. Like we were fine till this. And we were fine last year until the final international break, and then we saw what happened after that. So just get through, survive the next one, and if they can pull out of them, pull out of them. They're not needed.
Yeah. Don't want James going. Don't want Ramazani going. Not Ramazani, sorry. Don't want Solomon going.
Don't roll on our stroke going.
No.
None of the centre-backs.
Yeah, I think you're bang on yesterday. If we're able to bring on James, Solomon, or whichever four, you can just switch that around. It adds a whole, because what we had to do yesterday, obviously we went 4-4-2 and it just was disjointed, weren't it? And
died.
Yeah, it was poor. And I'm not going to batter Farker for that because of the situation, because we got the game Friday and that. If that was one game on a week, I'm going the subs have lost, like not lost us, but have ruined the whole flow of the game. Sorry, Joe, go on, mate.
No, I can't say it's a really good point because he's in a really tricky position. If he doesn't make those changes, if he leaves Nonto and Ramazani on, and then they pick up an injury in the last couple of minutes, like Rodrigo did against Accrington Stanley, you're complaining then that you didn't manage his minutes. You were overplaying these guys. You should have managed that game out. A point was good on the road. Manage the game is what he'd be told. By not making the changes, he's managing the players' minutes, but then he's killed the game. He's killed our momentum. He hasn't helped us win this game. And you're like, well, he can't really win in that situation. That was the exact example of a game where a manager will be told, just see the game out and just manage this game to a conclusion. Let's leave here with a point. Once it got to 75 minutes, it was like, this game just needs to be taken care of and managed. Leave here with a point, a decent result, because they could have still nicked one on a break towards the end of that game. They had a couple of chances down the right-hand side. So I think he did okay. I think he made the changes he had to make for the right reasons to manage minutes and look ahead to Friday as well.
Are they the best team we've faced, do you think, folks? I
think so. Yeah. Bravest team we've faced this year, definitely.
Yeah. Until we play Friday, I think they'll offer a similar sort of prospect. I think it'll be a tough game Friday.
Score first.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Can we talk about Willie Nonto? Because I gave him a bit of stick in the early parts of the season, but I think in the last 3, he's been our best player for me. I think I was saying yesterday, it's almost like he's took on the mantle of Somerville in terms of I'm going to carry us on my shoulders this time. And there was loads of times where, I mean, he cooked Doyle in the first half before he had to go in at centre-back. And when he was cutting in, I mean, in early he equalised, didn't he? He hit the post, which was a decent effort as well.
So clever.
Yeah. But, you know, Evie, we were quite critical of him a couple of weeks back. And the last 3 games, I thought he's been great.
Yeah, he seems to, like, I feel for him because obviously, statistically, he's the most fouled player in the championship. So when that penalty doesn't get given, it's not gonna get given.
I almost forgot about the ref then. We will need to speak on that guy, actually.
So this is where my frustration comes with him, is when he keeps going on about a decision. There's no VAR. There's nobody else to look at it. Once the decision has been made and he's had the nod from the linesman, no change is going to be made to that decision. So just leave it. Just leave it. Tell Strauch. Strauch then speaks to the ref, because that's how it should be, in my opinion. It should be the captain goes over and takes that mantle, because I hate it from whoever I'm watching. I hate it when they crowd the ref, because how often have we seen decisions get swayed because of the fact that the refs are feeling quite vulnerable? When you've got 6-foot blokes coming round you, no matter how big and clever you are, you've got a group of testosterone-fueled men, angry men coming round you, shouting and screaming, saying this is what should be happening. I just don't think it's appropriate, because it should be the captain and maybe the person directly involved that goes and speaks. The captain calms down your player. The captain then tells his point of view, saying, we believe that should have been a penalty, blah, blah, blah. But just get over it, deal with it. And then you pick up the silly yellow card. And that's the frustrating thing. So we've got multiple players on multiple yellow cards right now. We're going through a massive load of injuries. You throw yellow card suspensions into that as well. And, you know, we're looking like Birmingham last year type of team coming onto the pitch. And it wouldn't take a lot right now for that to be the case. So, yes, the whole Willie has been fantastic. The fact he's got another assist, he's not been as selfish. I do find when he gets tired, he holds on to the ball too long. And then he makes poor decisions in terms of he just holds on to it. He does his Somerville impression and keeps on until the pass is no longer on, and then he fluffs up the shot kind of thing. So for me, that's something he needs to work on. But he is really taking on that kind of main man mantra from you know, Somerville. And I think he's wearing it brilliantly. If I'm being honest, I really do. I think he's growing up. But it's just that little sense of immaturity just peeks through, and as soon as he does it, even if it's just once, he seems to get yellow carded for it every time. And if he gets yellow carded for it multiple times, you know, you take him out of the team, we do lose a lot when he goes off. And right now, without Solomon and James, we don't have a replacement that's good enough for him. You know, our subs bench is injured. You know, like we've got loads of, you know, our starting 11 is a really good starting 11. I've got no issue with it whatsoever. But we're back to no subs again. That's the issue, you know. So we've become like Sheffield in terms of great starting 11, not much to offer off the bench, and it's a massive drop in quality, which we saw that. I think as soon as possible, Joffrey needs to go. He's just done at Leeds. He's done.
Yeah.
I
feel harsh on him.
Yes, I feel bad. He deserves to go and play football, because right now he's wasting his potential. Being sat on the bench for us.
Exactly. Can we talk about Joseph? Because I think he, especially at half time yesterday, he took a lot of stick actually in my chat on the game and then online, and like Bamford came on and Yeah, well, yeah, but yeah, can we talk about what do we reckon to Joseph's performance yesterday?
Probably not his best game. His last two have probably not been his best 2 games. But he has to get used to this, and we have to get used to this as well. He's a young striker, and he's still finding his feet at this level, and he's gonna.
Sorry, Joe. Do you know what I think it is? It's like the same criticism we used to give Bamford. Joseph's going to get. From the fan base, you can see it already. He's not scoring goals. You know what I mean?
And this is the problem. Well, not necessarily the problem. This is just one of the things you get with the system that we play. If you play with a single striker, it's not about goals. It's not about goals. If you're playing with a hold-up striker, then it's not about what he does in the back of the net. That's a bonus. It's about assists. It's about creating chances. It's about being involved in the build-up. It's about hold-up play. It's about pressing. It's about tons of other stuff. And he won't be judged by the goals that he scores. He'll be judged by Daniel Farke by the work that he puts in for his team. And if he's in the right place at the right time, he'll score goals. I thought he's been fine. 2 tricky performances in the last 2 games for him. He'll learn from them, and he's going to have these days. Anyone who thought he was going to come in and have worldies every single game, that's on you. That's not on him. Yeah, that's your expectations, not his reality. So shouldn't be put on him. He's doing okay. If we play Pirro, because that's the genius clamor now is replacing with Pirro. Do we not remember all of the conversations about Pirro as a 9? I think Pirro would fit better in this system, but I still think you'll lose the hold-up play. You'll lose his first touch, because Joseph's first touch tends to kill the ball more often than not. Pirro's doesn't. Pressing, gone. So
you think he'll be better in this?
No. I said I think he can. I think Pirro will be better in this system than he was with Rutter in the 10 last year, because Aronson's playing a lot higher and closer to him. But I don't think he'd be better than Joseph in the system. I really don't, because there's so much more that Joseph does that Pirro doesn't do. And the second you see him, you'll be like, he's not doing that. And that's it straight away. So be careful what you wish for. Matteo Joseph is still involved in goals. He's still involved in the build-up for goals. He's still making good runs. He's still making space for the players to run into. Yeah. He's involved indirectly or directly. He's been involved. So I wouldn't be in a rush to be hooshing him out of the team. We just want instant gratification. We want goals from him now. Yeah, it's not necessarily a guarantee. You got it. It's if he's not getting assists, if he's not involved in the play, if he's not pressing, if he's walking around the final third, 100% get him out.
Yeah,
but he's not. So
you could see when Bamford used to go on these droughts, 4, 5, 6 games without a goal. You could tell in Bamford's body language he were feeling weight and he were feeling pressure. I don't get that with Joseph. I don't get that. I don't feel like that number 9 shirt's a burden for him. I feel like he's thriving with it and he enjoys that pressure. And I don't know if anyone's noticed, but when Pirro's come off the bench and scored, he's big first and celebrating. He's right there for it. You know, he isn't looking, thinking, oh no, he's potentially going to get my shirt. He scored again. He's beaming with delight. He's so happy for the team. And that's one thing I say about him. You know, people might have an agenda if he goes 4, 5, 6 games without a goal, whether he gets an assist or not. But you can see he loves playing for Leeds United. And last few years, we've had a lot of players that haven't been like that. So for me, he's got a long time yet of playing like he is before I start saying anything bad about Joseph. I think he's doing a grand job, and for a young lad, I think he's a credit to us, and we were lucky to have him. To be honest,
proper Yorkshire that was, Matt. He's doing a grand job.
Yeah, right.
Love that, bro. Yeah. Love that.
You know, who also is doing a grand job? Brendan Aronson.
Yeah.
Thought he was very good again yesterday, and I heard he's been described as he runs around a lot. He's doing a lot more than that. I think some people are being a bit disingenuous to him. I thought he was very, very good again yesterday in the 10. I thought he was very exciting when he got on the ball and looked to run at people. He won a couple of duels, which is always nice to see from him as well. Lost a few as well, but that's expected. But I thought all around his game was excellent. I thought he was brilliant last week at the weekend. I think he's had 2 really, really strong games back to back. I think he's looking excellent for me in that number 10 position right now. It's a very different type of 10, but I think he's doing a cracking job.
So I think when you look at the play,
he made a last-ditch clearance as well in our box. You know, we wouldn't have ever got that out of him before. So I think he's been brilliant, and as well, he was the only bit of speed that we had by the time all the substitutes were made. He was the only possible hope that we had of even getting up the pitch was his speed. So he took a risk in leaving him on, because for me right now we need him on the pitch, but he had to sacrifice Aronson because he has played more minutes than Ramazani.
Well, you need him
and
Friday,
is
don't
fitter.
you?
Yeah.
You
So
need him vital.
I think Aronson's been fantastic, and really, I think he's finally been recognised. You know, I think he's been probably our most consistent player all season so far. And I really hope that we can continue with that. And I think Farke's man management will help Aronson with his composure, but also when he does have his dips, you know, like when it was the World Cup and he didn't really play for America, and then his form just fell off a cliff and we didn't really see him after the World Cup in a Leeds United shirt after that. You know, he continued to play but didn't show up. So I think Farke is a good person for Brendan Aronson to keep that momentum because of his man management skills as well.
Yeah. Brendan's really done well. And receipts will be cashed end of the season when he gets player at year or something. Don't you worry about that one. Everyone giving me stick in the comments. I'll fucking come for you on that one. Don't you worry about that. Been getting a bit of heat from these comments, to be fair, over these last couple of days. It's rough. It's rough. But you give it out, you got to be able to take it, and yeah, it is what it is. I don't know what happened to Luke. I think Luke probably forgot, did he? I don't know, unless I know better still going. But this has been an awesome foursome, so we don't need to worry about it. Let's flip it onto Friday. Do you envisage we see the same starting lineup, but we're swapping Gruev for Rothwell, and that's your lot? Do we think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how are we feeling about the game? Because I was confident we could get 4 this week, but I'm a little bit nervous after, because it's a brand new midfield partnership against a Sunderland side that'll be well oiled. I don't know their injury concerns, but we've gone from like first choice pairing, second choice pairing, third choice pairing. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, how much time have they had to be on the grass? Because obviously they were in Norwich yesterday. They've come back to Leeds today. They'll probably have a training session tomorrow, and then bam, they're away again. And it's like, you know, oh yeah, we need to do the ref, Pete. We will come back to that after we've talked. Actually, let's go on, Matty. Go on.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because obviously he saw the subs come on towards the end of the last game and didn't really work. But he had Friday in mind, so he sort of had to make those subs, like Evie said. But with having the international break come up, you know, is he going to be thinking, I can push Ramazani to maybe 80, 85 minutes. I can leave Nonto on for maybe 90. Maybe he won't rotate those subs as much. We're not seeing that they didn't work against Norwich. I don't know what you guys think of that. You don't have to force it if you don't have to. If it's a tight game like the Norwich one, and I say I fancy them to maybe get a winner. Maybe he can push that a bit further, knowing that they've got a fortnight off.
I think that we have to go for it in the first 15 minutes. I think that will determine the entire game. I think we have to get a goal, because we know that midfield currently is more attack minded. So we have to play to our strengths instead of trying to turn those players into players that they're not. We should work to their strengths, go out full force for the first 15, 20 minutes, try get a goal, 2 goals, just try and keep the pressure so that they make mistakes. Use Aronson to be the annoying pest that we all know that he is. Use Ramazani, use Nonto, you know, use Rothwell, you know, just, I think that if we don't score within the first 15 minutes, I see it being a very long game, and I see it being a very tense game, because I don't know how they're just not defensively minded. They don't have the same trust, the same relationships. They haven't trained together. You know, like I think they did brilliantly. You know, they didn't concede a goal, and they hadn't had any minutes together on an actual pitch, and it wasn't the 2 of them that conceded the penalty. So, you know, if they cannot concede against Norwich, who came out and attacked us, yes, they didn't actually create a great deal, but they weren't doing a low block. They weren't doing a Coventry. They weren't doing a Cardiff. You know, they were coming at us, and they do have the players that could get at us as well. I think that, you know, Sunderland's form at home, obviously they've won all of their home games this season so far. So it is a tough place, and it was a tough place for us to go. last year as well, and our away form wasn't fantastic, whereas we haven't lost away from home so far this season. So even though we do have injuries, we're top of the form table. You know, we're top of the away form table as well. So everything is in our favour. We just have to utilise the players that we've got and actually do something with it rather than allowing them to nick a goal straight away. We need to nick a goal straight away.
Yeah. First goal is always crucial in Leeds United. It's felt that way for a while now, hasn't it? And you make a great point. I think in terms of non-penalty XG, we still conceded next to nothing, regardless of which midfield pairing was on the pitch. So if that continues, Evie, we should be all right. I do feel this game, though, Joe, will be a bit end-to-end. I think it'll be a bit basketball-y as well, and it was a little bit nervy. I think it could be something like that again on Friday night, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm laughing because the term basketball, Jess played basketball, so she hates that term. And every time she hears a commentator say, she's like, how is it a basketball game? Look at the score. How is that a basketball game?
End to end, isn't it?
And she's like, how is that a basketball game? Yeah, I love it though. Winds are up. It's great. Yeah, it will be. It will be a basketball game. It'll be up and down the park. It'll be another exciting game. They will have a go. They're at home. And as been said, I think Danny said it in the chat, this is a really tough start to the season for Leeds. Like the games that we had in the first 10 that's a really tough opening 10 games. And to still be in the mix. And that's what we said at the start of the year, Joe, was we want to be in the mix at these stages, and we are 3 points off it. And I wanted 6 points from these two games. I would have liked 6 points, but I would have happily taken 4, and I'll still happily take 4. But I think 2 is not the end of the world either on the road against what is a very decent Sunderland side as well. So each game's going to be taken on its merits. The expectations have to be taken on their own merits because they're different. We're different. Everything's different from last year. So, but I agree with Eve. I think this game gets dictated in the first 15 minutes. If we can score early, we control this game. If we don't, because they won't sit in. They will come and have a go. And that will hopefully create space for our players to do more damage against them. But we need to get out of blocks first. I thought Norwich were decent, both halves, at getting out pretty quickly to deal with us last night. So if we can get out just ahead of Sunderland, then maybe we've got an advantage and can control the game. But we don't concede first. Ideally, don't concede at all, but don't concede first.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting game to watch, I think, for the neutral and for us as well, provided we win, of course. I did almost forget, but yeah, let's talk about that referee. Arguably for me, the worst refereeing performance, especially in the first half. He went quiet second half. But that first half, he was absolutely atrocious. Atrocious. So bad.
Yeah.
No one else got anything to add. That's it.
But we've had him before, and he was crap as well. But like he seemed very Sunday League-y. Like whoever shouts the loudest for the decision will get the decision.
Yeah. Even the fans, you know. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Every tackle, there was like a second or two afterwards, and he'd keep looking, and then he'd go, yeah, okay, free kick because you're screaming at me. Yeah, okay, you can have that. And I would agree with Evie. I think the penalty would have been harsh to give. I think if that had been given against us, we'd be going nuts, going, he's pulled his leg out of the way, you know. But I also agree with Evie's point that it'd be nice to get one of them to go our way, where they don't tend to. So, but yeah, in general, I thought he balls it up in the first 15 minutes. He started getting yellow cards out, trying to control the game and assert himself on it for things that weren't yellow card offences. And then when the more serious stuff happened, he couldn't deal with it. I mean, I think it's Firpo is cleaned out of it with a scissors tackle on the far side of the pitch at one point. And it could have been a red. Could have been, he's off the ground. He's gone through him with both feet. And I don't think he gave anything. He was dreadful. But then we're getting used to this. And I think Farkas said at the start of the year, and we need to be on the same page of this. We can't be relying on a referee to get us a result in a game. We've got to go do it ourselves. Can't rely on anybody else to do it for us. But yeah, he was dreadful. One of the worst this year anyway. And they've not been great this year.
It's poor standard in this league refereeing.
Yeah.
But it felt like he had an agenda in the first half, and not even just for Leeds. The agenda being he wanted to be the star of the show. To be fair, you know, it went both ways. It wasn't just, you know, going in our favour. There were some calls the other way as well. And yeah, I noticed that. I said submissive that it's like he wanted to be about him. He wanted to put on a shirt and play, but yeah, he was a nightmare, to be honest. He ruined what should have been a really good game. To be fair, you know, it went end to end at times, but he made it about himself, and it made it very stop starting. Quite a poor game in end.
Needs to lay off the
Also-
roids, doesn't he? Needs to lay off the roids.
Yeah,
He refused to play advantage for either side so many times.
yeah,
Like
they did.
he would bring it back, and I noticed in the second half, Norwich got one and they had the ball. So then he made them bring it back for a free kick, and where they just kicked it back to where they originally had the ball and had the advantage. So they just slowed down the play for the team who had the advantage to go back to where they were when he should have given the advantage and just allowed them to play on. They were under no pressure. They had the ball. But I don't understand the need to slow the game down, because then the refs are time wasting, which is something that they have a go at players for. So, so what's the point? We're there to see the entertainment factor, and so much of football in so many games, especially when in your low block games, and neither one of us were playing a low block. So why would you slow it down? You've got two teams who actually wanted to play football, and the ref is slowing it down instead of just playing the advantage. You know, they just seem to not know that you can do that. You don't have to stop for a free kick. You can, if the team who have been fouled have the ball, just play advantage. If they don't get enough advantage, fine, take it back. But they had the ball and we were nowhere near them, so they were going to have a clear advantage. It's just that the problem is you need referees, because you can't play the game without referees. So you have to have them, but they then make everything so
Evie wants
ridiculous.
to change the rules of football by its sound of it.
No, I'm just saying you have to have them, like, and they need to be respected. And it's another, like I said earlier, about I don't agree with players crowding refs, because there's the intimidation factor as well. But when you're making such poor decisions, and also not even making poor decisions, but not having the courage of your conviction to go through with it, if you give that player a yellow card, we saw it with Hull last year in the 0-0 game where Rodon got sent off. His first yellow was never a yellow in 100 years.
Yeah.
But he gave him the yellow card, so at least he followed through. It was the wrong decision, but at least he followed through, because the second yellow was a definite yellow. So if you're going to give a player a yellow card, don't then go back on your word and not give him the following yellow card. If you think that first decision, or first whatever it was, is a yellow card, and then a player in the second half does a blatant yellow, you've set that for yourself. Have the courage of your convictions. Send a player off. It's your decision, but it's you who's done it. Don't let a player get injured because you've been shocking at your job. You know, it just doesn't work like that. Either don't give the yellow card in the first, but I also don't agree with refs not giving a yellow card because it's too early. You've got the two extreme referees. You've got ones who get card happy in the first 10 minutes, and then you've got refs who don't give yellow cards for blatant yellow cards. Just do your job.
Doesn't the first thing that you said there, if he was to have the conviction to follow through on a standard that he has set, you're completely right. It's 100%. That referee has said, I'm reffing the game today, and this type of incident is not acceptable. It will be a yellow card. He has set that rule himself. And you're dead right. But if he follows through with his convictions, it kind of gets him off the hook a little bit. Yeah, you're coming out after the game saying he's had a crap game, but you're also coming out saying, well, he set a standard very early on and he stuck to that, and it's the team's fault for not realizing that he was going to referee this game with a firm hand, and they didn't deal with it. So, I mean, he can get himself out of a lot of trouble because he goes halfway between both extremes. The game finishes and we're here going, he's a crap referee. He was flip-flopping all over the place, didn't know what he was doing. He, no convictions. He follows through on one of those, and all of a sudden there's a case of, well, tough referee, has a line, stuck to it. That was it.
Yeah.
But you're dead, right? Yeah. But they're all, so far this year, there's been maybe one that you didn't notice, and they're the best referees, one that you don't notice in the game. But Matt was 100% on the money. And you can spot this with a referee. If a referee wants to keep having chats with players early on in the game, that's the center of attention referee. He is going to do that. He's going to stop the game. He's going to walk over. He's going to have a conversation. He's not going to book it. He's going to get the game going, and he's going to keep doing that. And he is now all about him. Get the camera on me. So there's too many of them in this league. There always has been in this league.
They're just idiots, aren't they? I went to women's football, obviously, on Sunday with Dave, who watches this, and my daughter, and obviously there's not that many there, so you could hear this ref, and I think he was getting assessed, and every time, like, like where you take the throw in, and he'd be like, keep coming to me, happy like that. And I just thought, what are you doing, man? like just making him pull back and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. I started to give him some pelters. Just for shits and giggles, man. But nothing expletive. I was just going, you ain't got a clue, ref. Brilliant. Anyway, Abdul Rahman Al Khalifi, big up to you, brother. He said, good evening, everybody. Happy with the point last night. Kindly update me on Gruev's injury. We don't have an update, really. More tests, and we'll find out probably on Friday night. Why did Farker get booked? I'm not sure. Was he mouthing off? Was he?
Corner that was given against us that wasn't a corner against us. What Ferber was complaining about as well. And Farker had a bark at the referee. But I think there was a couple of incidents at that stage were pissing him off. And he got to that point where he went over, but he got booked. And then was told by the Norwich City fans in a lovely chant to sit down, shut up.
Yes, I remember that, but yeah. Ref, I agree, was Sunday class. Yeah, it was Sunday league level. Confident we get a result Friday night. 1-0 Leeds. Best wishes, match on together. Best wishes to you as well, my brother. Has anyone got any? I'll tell you what, Matty, tell us about your channel, bro, before we finish up.
Imagine not being Leeds. I'm fairly new to it. I've only had channel going about 5 days, I think. Got about 6 or 7 videos out. Try to keep on top of the previews and the reviews that only doing with 3 games in. It's been a busy week to start, I guess. Try and get on top of all the techie side of stuff while the international breaks on, because I'm not really good at techie stuff. But yeah, so I've got a Sunderland preview out tomorrow. I've been in touch with a guy from Only Fools and SAFC, a guy called Wayne, a lovely bloke, Sunderland fan, and he's done a 5-minute clip that I'm going to put into my video, telling us what to expect from Sunderland and his predictions. So I'm excited to put that video out tomorrow. And yeah, just come along if you want to see this fat lad from Leeds waffling on about the club I love. And yeah, that's it really.
Check out Imagine Not Be Leeds. The channel is in the comments now. Oliver's kindly put it in. Evie, you're up next. Come on, tell us about yours.
I've just got a little point that I want to bring up. So me, you and Jer had a bit of a heated discussion last year about, and me and Jer obviously were on the same page. And
about what?
It was
good.
It was
What was it about?
It was about the upcoming Leicester game, and you were adamant that it was the biggest game that we could face. And me and Jer were both of the opinion that actually the biggest games are the lower teams, because they're the teams that you have to beat. You can afford to drop points against the teams in and around us. No, I'm coming back.
Okay, go on, finish. I'm just rolling my eyes. Go on.
You actually agreed earlier on and said, they're a great team. Norwich, like, it's fine. We're beating other teams. I don't know why everybody's going into meltdown, but we can afford to drop some of these points, because we're doing our job right now against the bottom teams, which we weren't doing last year.
What's this got to do with Leicester? If you make your point, will you?
No, because last year we beat Leicester, we beat Ipswich, but had we have beaten QPR, had we have beaten Stoke, had we have beaten Birmingham, had we have beaten Rotherham, had we have beaten Huddersfield, all of those points, we go up.
Right.
And you've now come around to that way of thinking also, Joe, which is probably more
What's
important.
the point? I don't know what the point is.
No,
You're
I just wanted
the same way.
It's just nice that you've come round to my way of thinking, the correct way of thinking. It's nice.
I don't know what you're on about, me. I don't know what you're on about. If I agree with Evie, I take back everything I've ever said. Joe, do you want to tell us about your channel? Not that you need
there's a news video from this morning. There's not a huge amount of stuff floating around. There's a young player being linked with a possible move for the under-21s. They're looking at a couple of young players at the moment that have been floating around, and exploring the free agent market. Is a piece in Leeds Live today as well. Yorkshire Post, did a piece today on the available potential central midfield free transfer options, which I'm assuming was why the question was asked today as well. The only one in that whole list that was interesting was Christoph Kramer, who has played with Farked before at Gladbach, and German international 33 free agent. So there's Jack Cork, Christoph Kramer.
Going to bid on him as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, Cheku Kuyat is also free, as is Francis Coquelin, all free agents at the moment as well. Yeah, Coquelin, I was like,
kiboshed it anyway, I know. He's kiboshed it, hasn't he? Anyway,
Yeah, he has,
I
yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Just said no go.
Yeah, Kouyaté wouldn't be a bad show. I mean, he wasn't great at Forest, but he was decent at Palace and at West Ham. So, at this level. But I mean, I think Farke said unless the injury to Gruev is serious enough, they won't look at it. But fine, yeah. So that's what's in the news today. And then there's my 10-minute review of last night's game as well as there. So you want to check that out.
I love that. It's true, bro. It's true. Left back and penalties, mate. Go on, Matty. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Joe, how long do you think it would take for a free agent signing now to be match fit? I'm presuming being professional footballers, they're going to keep themselves relatively fit. But how long do you think it would take to be match fit, Joe?
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
6 weeks pre-season. Yeah,
that's what I mean. It took me about 3. I'll do it in 3.
Yeah. You've been in pre-season training for months, pal. You've been flying around the place. Yeah, I agreed with Farke, Matty. I thought he was dead right today. By the time you get him in, get him settled, and get them ready to play, the injured player's probably back and ready to go. Yeah. So what's the point?
We don't want to upset the apple cart, do we?
No,
and I always think there's a reason these players are still not signed to a club.
Yeah.
So why do we want them? Can't, you know what I mean? I had some wild names in the summer. People were messaging me saying, "What about Sergio Ramos? What about this?" I was going, "Come on, man. It's not happening, that is it, Leeds? Please." Do you know what I mean? I was getting all sorts of names. But yeah. Hear me too? Only Leeds bros are looking forward to having Imagine Not Being Leeds on tomorrow for a chat. Are you already out and about, are you?
Yeah. It looks like I'm looking forward to it, mate. Yeah, I got a message today. So yeah, gonna go on there tomorrow and have a chinwag about 8:30.
Go on, Matty, man.
I'm doing my best, mate. I'm trying to get about. Doing my best.
I love it. Big up.
Thank you.
What's this? Mate, listen, I'm telling you, tomorrow, right? Tomorrow night, Sean, on the fan preview, you're getting it. You're getting it, mate, because you've been trying to get nibbles off me all night, and you've also been trying to get nibbles off me earlier. So I'm going to really take you to task tomorrow night. So I look forward to being you being on, mate. Okay, that should be fun.
Your interactions with Sean are very funny today. If you're not looking at it, if you're only listening to it, and you can't actually see what you're talking about, it got very funny today between the two of you because you read out something Sean was said, and then you're like, "Are you having a laugh? Are you serious?" And then you go on, doesn't matter. Anyway, Farke says, and then you start going on, and then again you're like, "No, are you seriously having a laugh? Like, what are you doing?"
I can't remember what he said, but if it's come from Sean, it'll have been shite.
You are funny, mate. You are funny.
I love him though, really. Right, Matty, give us the final word, mate.
Final word is we end the week on 4 points out of 6. With
That's
2-1 wins.
That's words. Final word.
One word altogether. Imagine Not Being Leeds.
There you go.
No spaces.
Bye, folks.